Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Bama Standard is live. Our settings aren't what you're used to, but hey, we've gotten upgraded. We're kindly invited here by the superstar known as JT in his city of Dothan, Alabama. That's right, folks. We are located at Buffalo Wild Wings in Dothan, Alabama right now. And why are we here, y'all? We are supporting Kevin Jackson, former Alabama All-American. He's got the K7 Foundation. The next 2 days, we're going to be doing some things to raise some money for ALS. Significantly awesome cause. And one of those benefactors is going to be Kerry Good, Alabama legend, as we all know, has ALS, has his own foundation, the Good Foundation. And any proceeds that we earn on the live show tonight and the events this weekend are going to go to support this amazing cause. Again, folks, you know me. I'm Justin Riley. Before we get started, I need you to do a few things for us. Show us some support by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. If you're in the live chat, I need you going wild tonight. Show up and show out. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section below. Let us know what you think. Show us some love there. All right, it's time to introduce my awesome cast, and we got representatives from a lot of the shows on the network. And let's go ahead and start off with a man who is the host of the opening kick. He's a legend on the strip and at Gillettes in Tuscaloosa, the person who never has anything not to say. It is the illustrious Daniel Petty. Welcome in, Daniel.
Man, pumped to be here. I feel like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. Man, we're in Buffalo Wild Wings, man, about to get lit. This is we're big time guys.
I know.
But man, glad to be here. Drove up from Tampa this morning. Glad to be here mainly to support a good cause with Kevin Jackson and ALS. So look, man, it's let's get it going. We got some awesome guests tonight. We're gonna rock this, man. Let's roll.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Kevin is going to be joining us at the end of the show. So y'all stay tuned all the way through. But listen, we got one of the most fired up individuals on our network. He is the host of Talkin' Bama that you can find every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central. He is a living legend. He is the king of Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew, if you're out there, we need the endorsement. You might as well go ahead and give in.
He's had 6 since we've sat here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Aaron Tucker, otherwise known as JT.
Oh, yeah. How we doing tonight, guys? Having a great time here at B-Dubs, Dothan, Alabama. Some people call it Dothan, but it's Dothan, just so you know. We're going to have an excellent night tonight, guys. We got some great guests as well. Thank you guys for joining us. And if you're here live, you see Jimmy Clay right here in the background, kind of maybe. I don't know if you do or don't. We got the man Jimmy Clay back here as well, guys. So make sure you come out and support. Also, before we go any further, people thought it was a game.
No,
it's not a game.
It ain't no game.
It's not
a game. But JT, I gotta be honest. When I was crossing the city limits line today, I honestly thought I was in the wrong town because there wasn't a fountain of you there to greet me. So what are we going to do about that?
So we had to take it down because I didn't need y'all coming by questioning my celebrity status so much. I took it down. So then there's not so many eyes on me. So we took that down. We took care of that so you guys can come through. We'll put it back up probably, we'll say about Monday. I think it's what the city notes were saying on the email. So it'll be back up on Monday.
Okay. Man, that's what we are here, people. Humble. This network is full of humble people.
Yeah. One that's a few minutes late that should be coming in any minute now. That's full of humble.
Yes. Malibu Marvin Constant will be flying in from his latest venture. Was it Belize this time?
Well, Atlanta, which is its own country of car wrecks and whatever. I mean, you're leaving Atlanta, you got to know to leave 2 hours early.
Absolutely.
That's on Marvin.
Well, listen, we wasted enough time jibber jabbering. Before we get started, we wouldn't be here, of course, without the K7 Foundation, but one of our main sponsors, Lambstone Company. Petty, talk to us about Lambstone, what they can do for our audience.
That's right, Lambstone Company. Have you ever dreamed of having that beautiful natural stone in or around your home? Well, look, wait no longer. Go to realrockstone.com. That's Lambstone Company. They're located in Aniana, Alabama. They're one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. And if you tell them we sent you using the promo code, the Bama Standard, you'll get 10% off your purchase of stone today. So look, don't wait. Well, wait till after the show, of course. Go to realrockstone.com. Get that Lambstone today if you're building, not even if you're building that home. If you're working in the yard and you just want that garden with that stone, hey, man, we can do it all. Lambstone Company, check them out today. We always appreciate them keeping the lights on here at the Bama Standard.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate Buffalo Wild Wings for having us, but Jonathan, where are the wings?
Yeah, man,
the table is bare.
Are we going to have like rounds of shots going on during this?
Anyway, listen, guys, tonight we've got a legendary show full of guys who did their thing at Bama. Some of them had Daniel Moore paintings. Actually, two of them had Daniel Moore paintings. And we're about to bring one of them to the table right now.
Yes.
And I tell you what, listen, guys, I got my first introduction to the University of Alabama in the early 90s when we came hot off a national championship. But my very first real experience came when I got my first Alabama jersey. And the man that jersey belonged to is one of the baddest dudes to ever tote the rock, not only in Alabama history, but Central Tuscaloosa history, and quite possibly is the greatest player to ever come out of Central.
I think he is the best player. Not only is he the most timely player, like our guest gets here before our other C-High, but I think if you go to Central today, is there a bigger shrine to you or Marvin?
I think I would take that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I guess accountability fell off when you left because Marvin is, well, he's Marvin.
I'm not gonna do my guy like that.
Nah.
When I left Central in good hands. So
You
we
did.
had a lot of good players. So they're still building right now.
Well, that's the thing, man. Central, you went, Alabama's legendary for their history and the dynasty, but you came from a high school dynasty, to be honest. When I got to Tuscaloosa in 95, it was well established that Central High School was the program in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, so my sophomore year at Central, we went to the state championship. We lost to Robbie Elite, 14-7. And then after that, a guy named Howard Busby came in. He was the head coach, and he just turned the whole program around. Well, basically, he turned it into a real program. So, and then I think he went on to win back-to-back championships at Central. So,
Yeah,
he did a good thing.
he definitely etched his name in stone there. But Dennis, it's amazing to have you. One of the main things I remember about you was if Alabama had a lead late in the game, fourth quarter, they see you in the backfield, the defense automatically saying, damn, not this guy again. And I see it in 1996, the Arkansas game to me was like when you really start firing off and you never look back. And to me, it seemed like you were the guy. I know you had a shared backfield, but you were the real leader. And when things needed to happen, they happened. Anytime Freddie Kitchens was in a jam, toss the ball up, you're there, you're making great things happen. So what did it mean to you really carrying a load and being that leader, especially when it was late in the game, things were tight, and we really need to put things away?
Yeah, I guess it would start back from really just playing at Central because we ran the ball a lot. We ran the wishbone, so I was able to really tote the ball 20, 30 times then. But when I got to Alabama, Coach Stallings, he was that type of coach that we wanted to grind it out and get the running game going. So anytime that it got down to crunch time, I always had the confidence of knowing that I was going to come through for my guys.
And you always did, no doubt. Listen, I got to ask you, was it easier playing in regular games as opposed to practice? Because you're going up against guys like Michael Myers, Dwayne Rudd, Deshae Townsend, the list goes on. Kevin, who's here with us tonight.
I'll tell you the truth. Our practice, when we went one-on-ones with the defense, it was like a game. So once I got into the game was kind of easy because we had one of the best defenses in the nation. So it's playing against guys like Ralph Staten, Dwayne Rudd, and like you said, Kevin Jackson. And then Michael Miles, he was a beast. So anytime we got in the game, it was easy. So to me,
Well, you definitely made it look easy.
yeah.
Not so much for defenses like Tennessee and others, but man, Patty, what you got for our guy?
I know a lot of people, Saban had a hell of a run here the last 10 years, but Alabama was a dynasty way before Nick Saban ever stepped on this campus. And you played for one of the most legendary coaches in college football history. And we were kind of talking about it when you got here. And man, again, we kind of forget because of the accolades of Saban, just how special Gene Stallings and the presence he had. And we were kind of talking about what kind of presence did Gene have around?
And one thing about Gene, man, this me being an 18, 19-year-old kid getting to Alabama, Coach Stallings was kind of like almost like a god, but he was definitely a father figure to all the guys. He didn't know everyone had a father, but he was more like a father figure and demanded respect. And I have the utmost respect for Coach Stallings. So I don't have anything but high praise for him.
Yeah, no question. JT, what you got from our guy?
So, Riddle, we all know the 96 Iron Bowl. I spoke to you previously before the show about it as well. I want you to walk me through as much as you can remember about that play. Obviously, I know it was a while ago, but as much as you can walk me through that play, tell me how that was, man. You spin out the backfield right there, last play, couple seconds left in the game, and the Iron Bowl. That was the epitome of the Iron Bowl before what we know it now with the 4 overtimes, 4th and 31. We had that in 96, which is a killer game.
Well, before we even get to that part of it, we were coming out of a timeout, and basically the ball was punted. We got the ball back. It was punted down to the 26-yard line, basically, and we were coming out of a TV timeout. So, and during that TV timeout, we were John Causey. Shouts out to John Causey. He brought everybody. He brought everybody together, and he pointed into the stands. He was like, "Man, look, there goes Kareem. There's Kareem right there." So he like, you know, he wants to be out here. So let's do it for Kareem. So let me rewind it a little bit. So coming out that spring of that year, Kareem was Coach Stallings sent everyone home after the spring, and during Kareem trip home, he had an accident. And he was thrown out the car. And he was paralyzed from the hip waist down. Yeah. So to bring it back forward, when he did, like I said, the ball was punted to the 26-yard line, right? And he spotted Kareem in the end zone. And so before that drive started, we had to drive 74 yards. So come back to that point to get to that play. I was able to pull it out and score, but just to say, just to look at. Bring it back full circle to look at God, what God can do.
Yes.
Absolutely. The thing I don't know you guys know or not, but the number that Kareem wore was number 74. And we had to drive that thing 74 yards. It brought it all the way back full circle, man, for real. So I don't know if a lot of guys know that, but the guys that were in that huddle, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's awesome. I just got chills.
I remember Kareem well. There's no question that I didn't realize until now there's 74 yards because it's been so many years ago. But my gosh, that's definitely a God saying it.
In magic and sports.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. At the time, I didn't know, but just looking at the game, I'm like, wow. We started the thing out on the 26. Yeah, we started out on the 26-yard line. So it was crazy. It was special time. Yeah, it was special, man. It was special.
And right there, Auburn fans in the audience, that does confirm God is indeed an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
In the Indian spirits you've got under that stadium only works so often.
Absolutely. But just looking back at all you did at Alabama, I know you have so many memories. And so I can look at the great games. I know we didn't come out on top against Tennessee 96, but you really just you punished Tennessee. You had one of your best games. Yeah, that 4 touchdown game against Kentucky. Of course, as JT talked about, the Iron Bowl, which is forever going to be memorialized, the Daniel Moore painting. Yeah. But to you at Alabama, what was your best moment?
Best moment, I'm going to correct you a little bit. You said I had 4 touchdowns in that Kentucky game. I had 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter.
Come on, Justin. Get your stats right.
But I guess my best performance, though, I would say 96 against NC State.
Yeah.
I felt I felt untouchable almost every game. I always played with a lot of confidence. Like I said, playing against our defense, it was easy once I got in the game. So, but my best performance would definitely have to be 96 against NC State. And then you can bring it back against Tennessee was a big game. I had probably 180 some yards rushing. So combined, may have been close to 200 yards receiving also. So that was a big game also. And once you look back at it, everybody likes Auburn. That's our biggest rivalry. But for me, it feels like Tennessee is the team that you really want to play because they're playing Rocky Top all week.
Actually, in the 90s, Tennessee was a way better team than Auburn was. Way better.
So I just felt like that Tennessee game is really way bigger than what people think.
And I remember that NC State game vividly. No matter what direction you were going, to left, to right, to the middle, catching up the pass at that field, they knew it was coming. They couldn't stop it. And I always love your signature, hold the ball out.
That's when they first started that game. Right.
Yeah, man.
That's the first time I ever did it was that game.
Right. I was like, oh, yeah, there it is, man.
Look, if athletes are good at one thing, it's reminiscing on our glory days, regardless of what level. It don't matter how far you made it. Everybody thinks back on their days, but this doesn't necessarily have to be on a football field or a play or anything. But when you're reflecting back on your career, which was a great one, you got to play at the highest level. You got to play for Alabama. Like I said, when I moved to Alabama, you were the guy. When you're thinking back, reminiscing, what like I said, don't have to be something in the locker room, something Coach Stallings. What memory kind of comes to you as the most fond, or one of the most fondest memories you got?
Just the camaraderie, just being around the guys, just really just your teammates, man. Because I still have teammates from 94, from 96, from playing Alabama. So a lot of my friends are still to this day, 20, 25 years from then, are still the guys that I've been in the trenches with. So but just the big memory, probably the biggest memory is gonna be that Auburn game, man. Scoring that touchdown.
Do you still get the feeling when you think about it?
Shutting Auburn ass out. So that's a good one.
That game as well, Riddle. I was a kid watching that one. My aunt called my dad, making fun of it. War Eagle this, War Eagle that. Hung up the phone. 2 seconds later, Kitchens, Riddle spins inside, touchdown Alabama. We go up by one. And that's just legendary, man. That's
appreciate it.
You can't write that any
to
better.
reflect again on a bigger memory than that would be after that game, Coach Stallings retired, man. And before the game, I had no clue that he was about to retire. I had no clue. So after that game, when he said he was going to retire, then we go on and go ahead and play Michigan. And so and Rudd was able to get it interception and run it back and we won the game. So after that game, John Causey again, shouts out to John Causey. He presented Coach Stallings a football, of the game ball basically. And just the biggest memory would just be to look around that room at all the guys and everybody had tears in their eyes. So that was big time, man. And so
it hit y'all.
Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy.
I can definitely see that. That's probably a moment where you're looking around and there's not really no words for the moment. You know, it's just you can feel it. Everybody feels it in the room, and it's just one of the real deal moments.
It's kind of
like touchdown, Miss Riddle as well. You had the last one for Gene Stallings in his coaching career too. So
it was kind of like death a little bit, but it wasn't death, but it was kind of like death because it was sad as hell, man. It was sad. It was sad.
You had the last touchdown in his coaching, career, and what a way to end right here in the Iron Bowl, man. Like that, dude.
You're right about that. So the last time I talked to Coach Stallings is probably 10 or 15 years ago. I called him and talked to him, and the first thing he said, I said, Coach, this Dennis Riddle. He's like, man, I could just close my eyes and see you scoring that ball against Auburn. I was like, wow. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you, man.
Yeah, so, I can definitely say that. I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Riddle. It's probably different than what we're talking about right now a little bit. We're going to transition to some of the current players on the staff right now. How do you feel about the running back room in Alabama right now? We have Jam Miller coming up behind him, Richard Young, and then possibly you're going to see some Daniel Hill mixed in there. Last year we had A.K. Deere, the number one running back in the class, and we didn't even talk about him as much as because we got so many other guys.
Hey, man.
How do you feel about the guys that are in suit to come up this year?
I like Jam Miller a lot. I think he's going to be a good one. But one thing about Alabama football, man, we're always going to have a stud at that running back. Always. No matter who it is, it's a lot of pressure to be that number one running back at the University of Alabama because you're always going to have somebody trying to get your spot. And so if your ass come out there BSing,
yeah,
they're going to get you. They're going to get you. So like myself, my freshman year, I played behind Sherman Williams. He was a beast. My sophomore year was me, Curtis Alexander, and Brian Steger. Then came back my junior year. It was myself, Sean Alexander, and Curtis Alexander. So we had a three-headed monster. And like I said, anytime you're in practice, you can't be out there BSing. So because you always had a guy on your heel, man. So practice was always like a game. Yeah, they got to be ready. Yeah, at all times.
We talked about this also pre-show. We're kind of talking about your recruitment. And,
yeah.
I mean, Dennis, you were if you're not paying attention, recruiting is a whole different world than when you did it. But you were also kind of in that last era of pre-internet recruiting before you had to go get the Deep South magazine.
Yeah.
How much different? What was your recruiting process like, Fred?
Basically, it was I got a lot of letters. You got a lot of phone calls, a whole bunch of phone calls. And then you came down to make your decision to basically where you want to go on your main recruiting trip. So for me, it came down to Alabama, and LSU, and Syracuse, and also Iowa was strong.
Oh, wow.
But the last two was Alabama and LSU, and I committed to Alabama at the Big 12 banquet of the state of Alabama. I committed that night, and after I committed, the coach from LSU called me. He was supposed to come see me, right? So I haven't told anybody this, but all right, I was like, all right, Coach, Coach Hallman?
Curly Hallman.
Yeah. So he was like, Dennis, I'm gonna come talk to you. So I was like, all right, Coach, I'll talk to you. So he got on his jet and flew to Tuscaloosa, and I kind of ghosted him, man. So yeah. So that's how that went. I don't know if anybody really knew that, but yeah, I know he knew that. Yeah, he knew it, but.
It's funny, Dennis, because Kevin ghosted Mickey Andrews. I don't know if Kevin told you that.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, but with good reason, though. There's a good story behind it. But just talking about the recruiting aspect of it, if you're in today's generation recruiting, how do you navigate through that? Or if you trying to advise a current player coming up, how do you a lot of these kids don't have the right leadership around them to really put things in perspective and tell them, what, the money is fantastic, but the development is far greater. And then also, you don't have people to protect them against those who are coming to them for the wrong reasons. Yeah. So how would you help either navigate it through yourself or help somebody else navigate through it?
Oh, man, I just feel like it's a different time and age. It's more college football has come more of like pro. And so a lot of times when the guys come in, they're going to be looking to try to get paid. And so if they can separate that away from the football aspect where you can, it's going to be hard, man. So I think either you're going to have to get an agent or you're going to have to let your parents handle that part of it. And then you just try to focus on the football aspect of it, especially just to see if you can get with a program that's going to develop you and develop you for the long game. Because I know a lot of guys are trying to go to the NFL. So
absolutely. But going back to the current team, I know that JT touched on a little bit in terms of the running backs and who you like. My question is, if you're in that running back room right now, what would you say to them as this year comes up? I know a lot of folks were upset last year because we didn't resemble Alabama of old in terms of running the ball. They have an opportunity now to get back to that. So if you're in front of Jam, you're in front of Richard Young and Daniel Hill, and even A.K. Deere, what will be your message to them before the season starts?
The main thing I would tell them, man, let's get back to Bama Standard, man. Let's get back to putting fear in people's hearts. And the main thing is to just go your butts out there, man, and play with some confidence and run the ball as hard as you can run it, and just bring it home, basically.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you're a former Central High guy is here now.
Hey, Marvin.
I think he's running for mayor.
Mr. Lang. Hey, Marvin, don't worry. You've been replaced by the bigger name from C-High.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's still
he's kissing babies and signing autographs.
He is. He's doing
when
that.
he gets here.
But he's the 1999 All SEC linebacker. When Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he's still that man. It's time for Marvin Constant to roll.
Marvin, you're right.
Time.
You're in. All right. We're going to let you have the last question for Riddle. Dennis Riddle here. What you got for our guy?
What up, baby?
What's going on, brother? I don't know what you all are asking, but I'm going to ask you a question that a lot of you probably wouldn't even think to ask me. Being a graduate of Central High School, you played with some phenomenal players. Freddie May, played with my cousin, Anthony Hall, a lot of other people. Why did y'all not win the state championship?
Here we go.
There? What happened, man?
Oh, man. Good question. 92.
Y'all went to it.
We went to it.
But you didn't pull it.
And the reason we lost that one, I would say, would be Coach Ed Reed let his son come back after being gone 7-8 months and coach the game. So I would say that's the reason we lost the game against Robert E. Lee.
Well, no worries, because in '95 we brought the first 6A state championship back.
But Marvin, we've already recognized that when you go back to Central, you go back to high schools and all the players that go on to college and the pros, they got pictures. We've already recognized that the biggest picture is Dennis is at Central and yours is off to the side and a little flag.
I'm fine with that. You know what?
Okay.
All proceeds earned tonight are going to go towards the statue for Dennis, so y'all get ready for that.
I don't know about all that, but it's all good. It's all good. We had some good ones, man, to come through Central. I promise you. I was good or great as a high school player, man, but I know I wasn't the best player to come out of Central. I promise I wasn't.
There were so many.
We had a lot.
Of that program. And a lot of people don't realize the level of greatness that program has had over the years. When you look back at it, I think when I was in school, at one point we had 6 of the top 100 players in the country on the same high school team. So, and we had the number one recruit in the country, Antonio Williams. He ended up beating out Jamal Williams and Jasper Saints for that award.
Yep.
And there was so many more of us on that team. So
Antonio Bosnick that people don't even know.
Baseball.
Athletes all over CI.
Yeah.
And another good athlete on the baseball tip is D'Anthony Hall. So I know he was like back to back the state of Alabama baseball player of the year.
His sister,
nephew.
Well, Zay's mom. So Zay just committed to Alabama. That's one of my cousins there. So product of Hillcrest. Say hi.
Y'all know Central legends, but that's in the shadows of Alabama. A lot of times kids grow up in the shadows and they want to get away from home. Why does Alabama seem to be the opposite of that? It seems like if you're from Tuscaloosa, you want to get on that way to Tuscaloosa, not get away from home. You guys seem to set that tone.
You walk in Bryant Stadium, it speaks to you itself, How would you not want to play in Bryant Stadium? How would you not want to wear that jersey and that helmet? All the championships, the Lord of Alabama football, all the great coaches, all the great players. And if you look at it, Alabama's one of the few schools that does not do what?
Protein.
Now, what does Alabama not do that most schools do?
Rush the fields.
Retire jerseys.
Oh.
Because if we retire jerseys at Alabama, we'd be out of damn numbers.
Well, I'll say this, sir. When I got to tour the locker room, one of the things, you don't retire numbers, and I understood why. One of the coolest things Alabama does, this when you got to your locker, they got plaques of everybody that wore that. So you're not just representing the A, you get to represent the number. Every game, you put your helmet on, and you see every dude with that number. Was that not the case at y'all's locker?
Well, when I got there, I didn't see that for my locker. Yeah, because I was trying to.
First two, you
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm the best 2'9" in Alabama history. But there's another guy by the name of Mangum. He was pretty good 2'9" also. So, and then here lately, John Mangum, and then here lately, the guy that the safety that went to Pittsburgh, he was good too. So,
well, you know, they started putting those names on those locks. I think that was when I came 97, 98.
Okay.
That's when they started doing that. And even with that, you can't put all the names on the locker anyway because you run out of names. Like, I mean, I take pride in the fact that I have an all SEC plaque from the University of Alabama, but I still don't measure up with all the other. It's just so many. Between you start looking at all Americans, all SEC guys, that is a long list of players.
Absolutely. Hey, pull your mic up so people can hear you a little bit better. There you go. All right, we're gonna wrap up here with Dennis. Dennis, man, it's been such an amazing.
Is that better?
Finally get a chance to talk with you. It's been a long time coming, but man,
hey, appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for allowing me to come on.
Hold on, time out. Before you go, no, time out. Before you go, I gotta bring this up. How did it feel in Auburn when you against Auburn when you scored that touchdown? All I see was you going across the goal line. What was that moment like putting a doctor in those bums?
Basically, you know me, man. I'm an introvert, so you know I'm kind of quiet.
Yeah.
But when I scored that touchdown, it was kind of like a out of body experience. And then if you ever go back and watch that play, when I was celebrating, somebody came up from behind me and grabbed me. They almost broke my neck. I'll tell you the truth. I swear, because my whole head just went around. But
Well, you know, one of the things I've always said about that play, that's one of the most underrated plays in the history of the Alabama-Auburn rivalry. That play is not celebrated as much as it should. That one and the Roy Upchurch touchdown. I think those are the two most underrated plays in the Alabama-Auburn series. And y'all should give this man more credit for what he did, putting that dagger in those bums' heart.
I don't always agree with everything you said.
absolutely.
that was a big one. That was a big one.
That was huge.
Man,
Before you got here, I talked about that. That was my first start.
You still, when you see it, you still get chills
Oh
from
yeah,
it.
oh yeah. But it did make the top 4 for ESPN, the biggest plays in the last 25 years.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it did make number 4. Now I was surprised it made that, but I was like, dang, okay. That was big.
Why is the prize?
I know it was big, but I didn't know it was that big to be like on that platform.
We talk about 2021 4 overtimes. We talk about the 4th and 31. We talk about the kick 6 game.
Yeah.
We talk about the Royal Church, the drive. Like that was the start of the Iron Bowl to be like.
Don't forget Van Tiffin, man. Van Tiffin.
Van Tippin.
Van Tiffin.
He's 12.
What was it, 55 yards?
He's a little young.
I was
But
probably about 9 years old when he kicked, 8 or 9 when he kicked that ball.
That was called around then. I do remember it called the kick. They called it the kick.
Yeah. That was a big one. That was a big one.
man, yeah, Dennis, thank you so much again
Thank
for
you.
hanging out with us. And we need you on a regular show. So the season's coming up. We got 51 days until kickoff. So we're gonna have plenty of opportunities.
I got Alabama to win it all this year, man. All we need is some good quarterback play. I think we got it.
Looks like you can still run a play or two.
One play.
One play.
We got this really for
Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you again, brother.
Thank you so much, brother.
Hey, bro, roll tide and see high, baby. Good to see you too, brother.
All right, folks. The fun doesn't stop. We got another legend coming up, and this Alabama is running back you. So we're gonna go ahead and continue the trend. I hope y'all don't mind.
Who we
Justin,
calling?
hold on. We
Are
need to preface this, guys. This is not a high school recruit that's about to start college now, but he looks like he can play.
Who triceps?
Good God, this guy playing right now.
This man looks like he's 21 still.
Hey, what is
We
up?
got a high school recruit going into college right now.
Boy, I wish I could. I
Man,
didn't,
you look, are you sure?
man. Well, you know, this genetics.
You look, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped in high school and you kept on going. But I get it. Whoever said we're all created equal is full of shit.
Well, look at guns over there. Oh, no, he's a flexing now. You know, like, you know why he's late? He was at the gym. You know, pre-game pump.
You got it. You got it.
Pre-game pump.
I wish.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we got a legend in the house. One of the baddest dudes to ever tote the rock. and he really started running back you. Well, Bobby Humphrey helped out, right?
Yeah. B Hump.
But when B Hump left and Saran did his thing, there was only one guy who was worthy of taking that mantle, and he's here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, show some love for Derrick Lassic.
Hey, how you doing? There's another one right beside me. Shake 20, Sherman.
Sherman was good.
Yeah, Sherman. Yeah.
Did you teach him the show?
No, I
He had
know.
his own thing.
I had to pick one.
Oh, I know.
big one.
I know.
I have a question though. Who's better, you, Riddle, or Sherman?
I mean, I don't know. I put the ball in any of our hands. You know, we all can get the job done.
You were more power. Sherman was a little more.
Yeah, well,
You had to shake too.
No, you had to shake, man.
I know I was the fastest of the three.
That is true. I agree with that.
I did run a 4.33 at Tuscaloosa. I ran a 4.29 at Dallas. Yeah. So I had wheels. I remember when I first got to Alabama, Coach Biden, he was Coach Bowden was
yeah.
the wide receiver coach. He wanted me to play slot. He said, "Man, you can play as a player." I said, "Man, I ain't playing no receiver." If I would have known what I knew now, I would have played receiver. Yeah. I'd be playing receiver today.
I think you could play right now.
You really could.
Well,
I mean, like, I was in 7th, 8th grade watching you do your thing in the national title, and I swear I'm the older looking dude. I'm like, I gotta get with it right now.
well, you know,
Those days
there's
are
a
long
little
behind you,
deception. You know what I mean? I look good, but, you know, don't play good. I look like Tarzan and play like James today.
I refuse to believe that. But listen, man, you've got so many games we could go look at. I mean, you took over Florida, the SEC championship, no question. You kind of carried the team. Should have got the MVP. Should have got the MVP of the Sugar Bowl, but no shade to George. He did his
No, I
thing
did
too.
get the MVP of the Sugar Bowl. I'm USF&G.
Oh, yeah, but you did. But
Yeah. Only reason
right.
why is because that play didn't count.
Playing count.
All sides.
So
I think Curry or Copeland, whoever jumped off side to this day.
did you slip him a 20 to do that? Did you slip him a little something?
No,
Hold on,
and
hold on,
they
hold
were
on.
getting after him. They was getting after him.
So we're speaking of national championship game.
Sir,
We got Langham here.
yes.
So who really carried the team? Was it the offense or the defense? Because that Langham talent, they carried the team.
It was both.
They definitely did. We knew if we could score 10 to 14 points, we had a good chance of winning the game. So that's all we had to do as an offense.
I think it was two, though. Look, the defense carried it, but Jay was only throwing for like 30 yards that day. So the running game had to carry the offense.
Most definitely. Well, we meshed well. So they were a defense that was going to go 3 and out. We were an offense that was going to take the ball 13, 14, 15 plays. So we were clock management. We kill the clock. They get fresh. They go in there 3 and out. And when they didn't, you know, sometimes they had bad games, like the Florida game where we had to score a lot of points. Tennessee, they pretty much handled Tennessee. But, you know, I think offensively we played well.
So I'm glad you brought up Tennessee because that's a game you went off on. Leading up to that game, you had 2 100-yard games back to back. So you were kind of getting primed for that game. You had 104 yards in the first half alone. So what about that game really made you have one of the best moments 9-2?
Well, I like to say I was a primetime player. I like to play in the big game. The bigger games were the harder I played or the better I played. I was like that even in high school. My coach was like, well, why don't you run like that against these guys? Like, well, we're supposed to beat them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like the challenge. So I played better, the bigger the game was.
You definitely did. It was amazing because they really knew exactly what was going to happen. They couldn't stop you. To the right, to the left, up the middle, in the slot. I mean, whatever you were doing, there was no stopping. It was just try to trip them up and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But it didn't work.
That was similar to the Miami game. They knew what we were going to run. They just couldn't stop it. I mean, the offensive line did a hell of a job. Our coaches, that offensive scheme was terrific. And I think they took a lot of our scheme from Pitt. Because we rarely ran counters.
Right.
But the Miami game, we put in counter plays to use their speed against them, get them out of possession. Boom. And it worked like a charm.
Absolutely. Mark, what you got for Derrick?
Listen, man, going into that national championship game against Miami, they get off the plane, they have their army fatigues on, they act like they own the world. What was you all's mindset going into that game, knowing you were playing a team like Miami that had been experiencing so much dominance prior to that game?
Listen, we said if we take care of our business, play the type of football we're capable of playing, we like our chances. And we had a coach that preached it all year. He said, listen, we want to get better each week. And at the end of the season, we want to be playing our best football. And we felt like we were playing our best football the last couple of games against Auburn, Florida, and then going into Miami.
I feel like you all exemplified what a lot of coaches talk about when they said, don't take the bait. Because Miami put a lot of stuff out to make you all want to take the bait, to engage them in their nonsense, and you all didn't take the bait. You just showed up and handled business. How did you all get to a point to where every week, week in and week out, you showed up with a business-like mentality, and everybody was pretty much on board with that?
So we knew who we were as a team. We knew what we had to go do each week. We didn't worry about what they did. If we executed and did what we did well, which was run the ball, control the clock, give our defense a good rest, clock management, we're going to win the game because our defense was so solid. Really, it's like they scored over 10 points against that defense. I don't know what they averaged during the year. We were surprised. All right, we had a solid defense.
Yeah, JT, what you got for it?
So, I was born in 92,
Okay.
but the thing in my family, I'm going to get to that, is every year we had a dude born in whatever year it was, we won a natty. 92, 2009, 2011, and 12. So every year we did, we won a natty. So I always will go back and rewatch that SEC championship in 92 because when you look at it, we look at college football nowadays in the playoffs. That was essentially the first playoff game you had ever seen in college football at that time. And it was also like, is Alabama going to shoot themselves in the foot right here and lose to Florida and then not play Miami in the Sugar Bowl? What was the thought process going into that Florida game, knowing that, like, hey, we got to win this game to get this national title?
I know my thought process and a lot of guys' thought process was Florida whipped the shit out of us, excuse my language, the year before.
Yeah, I remember that.
30-something, and Steve Spurrier said he was going to put up 35 points and was throwing the ball when he was up 28-0 with like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So only thing we had on our mind, the guys that experienced that, was we want to get back. I didn't think about losing that game and not making it to the championship not one time. I promise you. I just wanted to get back. Now, once the game started going, and then, it was close. And like that interception, that's when I started thinking, man, we've been missing that championship. But not until that time.
Layman jumped that pass, man, wiggled on through, got to the end zone.
About time, I said, damn, Layman took you 4 boys to figure it out.
I talked to him about that play one time. And he was like, yeah. Right before that, I told T, you got to cover my back. I'm about to jump this ball. I know what's coming. So he said he knew it was coming. So maybe he didn't get lucky. Maybe he actually watched film and was prepared.
But I say he let him throw it the whole game. They were throwing that play the whole game. So I guess he picked the right moment. Some people just know when to step up. And Langham's always been that type of guy. Auburn game, stepped up. This game stepped up. T also. T came, listen. I don't know where that speed came from. I didn't know George was that fast. When he was running down Lamar, I said, he's going to catch him. Is he going to catch? He caught him. And then he snatched the ball. He used to do that to us in practice all the time. I said, man, he do that to us. He don't never do it in the game. Boom, he did it in the game. He got caught. Usually he do it in practice. The ball hits the ground. That was one of the best plays in college football history.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down.
I say this all the time. You talk about best play in history. We were playing ball in Jackson, Mississippi, high school football. We got back after the championship from Christmas break or whatever, and they take us out to the track and they say, "Hey, we're gonna do it. Did y'all watch that national title game?" And we're Mississippi kids. We're like, "Well, yeah." They're like, "We're gonna do a drill called the determination drill," and they made us have to run a dude down from behind because of that play. That's what I was gonna ask. Like, look, I know, and justifiably so. It's the most recent. Saban went on an unbelievable run of titles and all that. But Bama was a dynasty long before Nick Saban. And I don't know, this may be more giving him flowers, or how does it feel? Or did you even realize this at the time, the impact that 92 Bama team had outside the borders of Alabama? Because before Christmas break, our locker room's full of guys. Miami, they're feeling that swagger. Lamar Thomas, Gino Trotta, yada, yada. Bama ain't got no chance. Again, we're in Mississippi. We're not Bama, Auburn. And then we come back for Christmas, and everybody's got Bama bomber jackets on.
Oh yeah.
Justin, the damn Bama fan for life after that. I think that was the moment.
No, I had it on way before.
Well, okay, but I mean, again, it reverberated. But y'all, what kind of pride do you take that, man? Y'all did, or do you even realize how much that went past the borders of Alabama and took over the whole South and then kids across the nation?
Yeah, Northeast. You know, I'm from New York, right?
Yeah.
So New Yorkers, most of them are Notre Dame fans, right? So they hate Miami with a passion. So New Yorkers are watching because this kid from New York is playing on Alabama, and they were so elated that I couldn't walk anywhere in New York without being said, "That's the guy from Alabama." Was the, you know, so you know, it reverberated all over. Yeah. People in New York, you turn me into an Alabama fan. You turn me into an Alabama fan.
Like I said, every generation, and I know the younger generation has the same. You guys were that for our generation. Y'all are what made Alabama like. Well, you've got other SEC teams. SEC big deal, but Bama's special, and it was because of guys like you, man. Like I said, that made it.
One thing a lot of people don't understand is you all actually started a trend that a lot of people don't recognize. A trend of the SEC winning national championship. Yeah. You all started it in '92. I think Florida followed up in '96. Tennessee in '98, and then from there it was just straight SEC for pretty much the next 30 years. And you all started that trend in '92.
Yeah. Think about it like that. You know, I was just glad to be in the game. And listen, I didn't want to get to the game and disappoint. So, you know, I tried to run the ball as hard as I could. And the offensive line did a hell of a job. And the rest is, as they call it, history.
But you all started an amazing, I mean, when you look at that history, though, 92, you all win. And you look at that run of the SEC after that, and it has been phenomenal. And it has been, you pick a year.
Marvin, there's a reason why I came down south to play football. I could have played football at Penn State, Notre Dame, Syracuse. They were all recruiting me, but I wanted to play in the Southeastern Conference. I didn't go to Georgia Tech, and that was, I hate the cold. So that's, you know,
you should tell the truth. You also saw the women down here.
Well, you know, I went to Atlanta and saw the women. My dad said, "Dad, I think I may want to go to Georgia Tech." He said, "Georgia Tech?" I said, "Yeah, you know, I'm thinking of being an engineer." He said, "Boy, when they get to hitting you upside the head with football stuff, you gonna forget being an engineer." Yeah. So he was right. You know, I never forget. I'm on my trip to Alabama, and the coaches, you know, say, "Hey, we're going to offer you a scholarship." Bill Curry. He said, "You know, one of the only running backs we're going to recruit. The other one we're going to recruit. He's a Prop 48, Robert Jones." I said, "Oh, okay." You know what I'm saying? So I said, "Well, let me think about it." And he said, "Well, you know how the coaches press you." He said, "Well, the spots they fill up. How you thinking?" Yeah. And my dad said, "Hold on." He says, "Let me take him outside for a second." So my dad took me outside Coach Curry's door. He said, "Well, what's your problem?" I said, "My high school coach said I got to make sure I come back and talk it over with my family." He said, "Is your high school coach your family?" I said, "No." He said, "Am I your family?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Boy, you're going to Alabama."
Now, I'm glad you did, but I want to quantify this. I had to look it up real quick. I don't think any other conference will ever have this level of dominance in a run. Since you all started it in '92, how many national championships do you think the SEC has won?
So that's 30 years. I'd say about 18.
17. The SEC has won 17 national championships since you all started. I don't think you'll ever see a historic run from another conference like that.
Well, hold on. But when Alabama and Georgia played, that's two SEC teams, so you can count that.
2011.
Yeah.
Eventually, we started the playoff with Bama LSU. They're like, we can't have two SEC teams every year. Be up there.
And then in 2020, 2021, us again, and then like, damn, we got to expand the playoffs now. So we're the middle mover for sure.
But then they made these rule changes, and everybody was talking, Coach DeBoer can recruit. I said, he who laughs best. I said, he's won with Z28s, Camaros. Now he's got Ferraris and Porsches. Wait until he gets his players for his scheme off to the races.
I think he has that now. And he definitely has the team behind him because you're hearing more and more of how they're endorsing him every day. You hear about the brotherhood. A lot less lip service, more action. They're determined because we haven't been in a championship 5 years. That's just unacceptable for Alabama. So focusing on this year's team, what are your expectations offensively? What are you wanting to see more this year that, man, we didn't see last year or the year before?
I'm a running back. Run the
That's
ball.
why I'm asking this.
We have to run the ball.
Run the ball with a running back.
Yes, you got to run the ball, man. That sets up the offense. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. When you can run the ball and they know you come to run the ball, it takes a lot of confidence away from that defense. You know what I mean? That's like, me coming up to a little kid and slapping him. Yeah. Now, the little kid gonna get mad, but he gonna say, I ain't mess with that big boy.
Yeah.
A lot of people underestimate where you can effectively run the ball. If you have a solid run game with 2-3 running backs and you're still running it like you ran it in the fourth quarter, like you ran in the first, it takes the defense's will from them. A lot of people don't understand how important that is for closing out games.
I mean, clock management, of course, my coach in high school said 3 things can happen when you throw the ball. 2 of them are bad. Incomplete pass, interception, and a reception. So when you run the ball, 2 things can go bad. You can run it and fumble it, and you be sitting next to me, or you can run it and hold on to you.
Listen, a good 4-minute drive changes everything.
Yeah. Well, linebackers now, y'all usually like us to run the ball, especially middle linebackers. I like all that passing.
Oh, no, I love when a team runs the ball.
Uh-huh.
But when a team can effectively run the ball and those guards and tackles are constantly getting up to that second level, at a certain point, you get tired of taking on those guards and tackles and then having to fight through those and having to tackle a running back. It takes a toll on the defense. That's why I said if you have 2 or 3 good running backs and a solid offensive line. You go back and you look at Alabama in 2011. That team exemplified, man. Listen, that offensive line that they had, nobody wanted any parts in that. You look at Mentateo, Notre Dame's middle linebacker. You hadn't heard a word from him.
I'm at the game.
2012. I'm sorry, 2012.
I'm at the Notre Dame game, and Alabama's coming out. You should have seen the look on Notre Dame. I like, them boys are scared. You can ask the people I was with. They looking at me like, they scared. Look. They looking at Alabama like,
Listen, you should understand something. I was there when DJ Fluke, a reporter, at 6'8", 350, 60 pounds at a time, wearing a size 22C. They didn't have cleats for him. So he was out there running his first day in some white Air Force Ones. I'm scared.
All you got to tackle like Roosevelt. In the national championship game, he walked right to the line of scrimmage saying, we coming right here. We coming right here. And they couldn't stop him
At all.
Broke the wheel. Look, I've got a memory. My first memory of you was in 90 in Jackson, Mississippi, when y'all came back with down 21-0 against Ole Miss and scored 62 unanswered points. I was in the stadium that day.
Gary Hollingsworth.
Yeah, Ole Miss was up 21-0 in the first 8 minutes.
Yes.
And then it was just all I remember. And that was my introduction to, boy, they're different. Alabama's different. But obviously, you got coming from that to so many great memories in Alabama and NFL. And I asked Riddle this earlier. As athletes, no matter how high you got, one of the best things we do is reflect on our days of playing ball. When you're reflecting on your days, pro, college, whatever, and this can be on the field, in the locker room, or whatever, what memories kind of come to you first?
Well, really, I think the turning point of our season in '92 was when we were playing in Tulane. It was right before we had to play Tennessee. So, we're playing Tulane. We're supposed to run through them. We're struggling. I think it's 3-0, 6-0 at halftime. It's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And we picked it up the second half, and I was one of the catalysts. I went for about over 100 yards. But, that changed our season. Then we realized, hey, we can't just give up. and expect to win. We got to prepare and go out there and treat every game like it's our last game. And we were able to do that. We had some tough battles because teams got up the players.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, that was a dog fight. And it taught us, that's why when we were playing Florida, it was so close. We had been in so many dog fights that season that we were ready for it.
No, I think everybody, the reason Miami was getting so much press going into that game, if you go back and look at Alabama's schedule that year, every game was 17-13, 17-10, 21-14. There weren't just big 42-0 blowouts, even against the Southern Misses and the Tulanes. Like you said, that's interesting to hear. I'm going back all those years because I remember seeing that, hearing where the turning point was in the season for you guys. Like a Tulane game.
Well, actually, a South Carolina game, y'all ran him off the field, and I think it was you and Chris Anderson going back and forth, seeing who could get the most yards.
Yeah, it was raining that game. But we had fun together. We push each other. Chris, Sherman, and I was actually who else? We had Terrence Lynch.
Yeah, Martin.
Yeah. Well, Martin's a fullback. Terrence Lynch.
Yeah, but he ran like a running back.
Yeah, he did. He ran better. I told Martin, you run better with the ball than when I
This is true.
Martin loved running the rock. Now he was a good blocker, but he run that ball like. Whoo.
What you got for him, JT?
One thing that we talked about that SEC championship, everything with that. You scored a touchdown in that. Riddle talked about when he scored the Iron Bowl touchdown. He felt like somebody was about to break his neck when they tackled him. I noticed this making the intro to this show too. I was watching that touchdown. On that touchdown, man, they came up behind you and about took you out. Have you ever had a moment where when you're trying to like get your jig on in the end zone, somebody cut you off?
Oh, listen. In high school, my last game of my season, we're up by, I think we're up. If we scored a touchdown, would have put the game out of hand. We were up like 2 points. It was 4th down. Everybody in the state knows I'm going to get the ball. We're at our 40-something yard line. I get the ball, run up the middle. The guy breaks down the top of me. I don't know. I just jump and leap over. So he's trying to hit me. Boom. And I go 60-something yards for a touchdown. I give him that play with my brother. He like 20. At that time, everybody starts fighting. I'm claustrophobic. People always say, man, why do you, like Sherman, Sharon States, they say, man, why you get up so fast when you hit the ball? One, debating, and two, I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So I don't like people to pile on me, so I don't want to be at the bottom of the pile panicking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so his name was Floyd Walker.
Yeah.
That man, I can imagine him probably looking up and being like, oh, shit.
Yes, that's exactly what.
You know, it get nasty on the bottom of the
I think people appreciate how uncomfortable being on the bottom of the pile, and then what Marvin said. Then you got dudes like Marvin down there trying to grab stuff.
Yeah, punch you in the gut. You know what I'm saying?
It get nasty down there.
I had a buddy in high school. I'm in the bottom of the pile with him. We tackled a running back together. I hear, oh, who bit my ankle? We get up and we're going back to our defensive huddle. I'm like, hey, bro, who bit his ankle? My buddy Tyler's like, I did. I put a sock down and bit it. I was like, what? The bottom of the pile get wild, man.
Yeah, they do.
I'm gonna let Marvin get the last question before we let you go. What you got for Derrick before he heads over to?
I know you have a lot of amazing memories from your time at Alabama.
Yeah, I can outbench you. Yeah, I can outbench you.
We're gonna have
That's
can we
true.
have the arm wrestle right now?
No.
I don't arm wrestle.
That's not what I was going to ask you. What was your favorite memory, not on the field, but what was your favorite memory with your teammates?
Man, we were in El Paso, Texas,
On the border.
playing in the Sun Bowl.
Oh,
Every freshman on our team tried to impress the upperclassmen. They had this open bar for us. I don't know if they do that at bowl games anymore. We had an open bar. We drank so much, man. They like, we had the bar for 2 days, but you guys drank too much, so we don't know if we're gonna open the bar again, right? So we get into the bus on the way back to the hotel. Everybody's like, man, stop it, Whataburger, stop it, Whataburger. So we stop at Whataburger. Donnie Beaky, he like, nah, let's go to the hotel. Let's go to the hotel. We're like, man, keep going. He said, let's go to the hotel. I said, keep going. He said, I told y'all let's go to the hotel. And we went to the hotel.
I think to answer your question, that was the last open bar at the bowl game.
Yeah. So
We were all sick and hungover the next day at practice. And, you know, we had went to Mexico right before we went.
It's right on the board, right?
So we were like, we drank the water, we ate some tacos. You know, we hungover. Yeah.
So, but before you go, to answer your question, that did continue for some years because when we were in Miami for the Orange Bowl, we had an open bar at the bar on the beach. We got to practice the next day, our first day there. Dubo, oh, y'all out here damn reeking, started over.
Yeah.
Started over.
Bad idea.
We saw what
Oh, back.
Yeah,
We saw what happened.
young people with free alcohol didn't mix.
Yeah.
At least we won the game. We played Army. Army gave us the business.
I think Marvin in them days.
I don't know how y'all do.
Tom Brady came in.
Nobody know who Tom Brady was.
We know who he is now.
lost the game.
Damn kickers. You don't remember until they miss something.
They sit there all game. The hero.
Man, well, Derrick, it's been amazing having you on with us again. It's been too long, brother. We've enjoyed it, and we'll definitely catch up this weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Tell us where the fountain of youth is.
Excuse me?
Where's the fountain of youth?
I don't know. I use Simply. I dive up in. That helps. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Roll
Roll
Tide,
Tide.
buddy.
All right.
Oh, Tom.
Use something.
All right, man, we got it rolling.
Here we go. All right.
We all know why we're running back you, right?
We are. We definitely
They're all
are
here.
undisputed.
We are linebacker you, to be clear about that. Since the 11 first round draft picks at linebacker.
But
Maybe it's just football you.
if you wouldn't mind, entertain the folks real quick. I gotta go grab our next guest.
Okay, our next guest is I think man, you can't see over here, but there is an Alabama legend gathering, but they're having a few cocktails. We got Keevan, and here he's coming. He's about to pick off a pass and run it through the end zone right now.
Who's done?
Like
Man,
Oh, I got a question for him.
that's right, folks. We're gonna have
We're gonna go mobile real quick, guys.
one of
so
the
you can see
greatest
everything.
defensive backs to ever play for the University of Alabama. He's coming over. And listen, everybody talks about prime time during that time. Alabama had their own version, and I think he was probably just about as good, if not better, than prime. But we're going to talk about
just
that.
does,
We'll
right?
get his opinion because he's never too shy to share it.
he's obviously about as good as walking to the table as Marvin was too. You gotta kiss the babies, hug the wives.
You gotta say if you stop before you stop.
I'll say this: if Langham would have taken this route to the end zone against Florida, we might be singing a different tune right now.
We might be sweating just a little bit, but no question the kind of impact that he had on the game.
They get me over there taking pictures and everything.
Speaking of linebacker, you Marvin, when we gonna get Derrick Lassic on the show? I gotta get some of these old Hillcrests. Get some of your linebacker folks.
I'll see what I can do.
Folks, now I just want y'all to know, for those who are watching at home, Jimmy Clay is the reason why our guest is being delayed right now.
We just said if you would have took that route to the end zone against Florida, we might have a different story right now.
Hold on. Antonio Langham, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Hold on. Let's go ahead and get into this. Since Betty brought up the interception against Florida, so apparently that was the show done when y'all recreated it. Yeah. And during said recreation, when they threw the pass, somebody drops it on the show. You catch it when it counted, but when you're doing the recreation, you look like you had 5 thumbs. Well, first of all, I already made the money.
Caught on the counter.
Yeah, I already made the money. So if I get
on the show, then everybody was like, oh, we knew this was going to get.
Yeah.
Make it look good for TV.
Yeah,
The money was already in the bank. Bama was sitting good. It was all right. It was all right. The money was made, baby. Hey, TV station, they called them. They wanted to renew the contract. Money was good. I just made some good TV that day.
Say the check is already cleared, huh? It didn't matter.
All the things they cleared, man. All the things they cleared. I was eating good in Tuscaloosa. We was good, baby. Like,
So you said it was a chicken grease on your fingers while you rocked.
yeah. I just went to Bills.
No,
I went to
You went to
Buffalo
Buffalo
Bills.
He threw a better spiral on the original. It was more of it was wobbly. I just make up an excuse. I'd say he was throwing a duck.
No, he was pissed off. I could see it in his eyes when he threw it. He was being young.
He's still bitter.
We went to reenactment. I could see it in his eyes. So I dropped and I kept jogging. I looked at Shane. He said, you want me to take a little bit off of it? I said, yeah. I'm still 18, 19, man. I'm 40, almost 50 years old now. You want to throw a bullet in there now, man. I'm not catching that. I'm all right.
You've been thinking about that for the past X amount of years.
Oh, he was, man. Oh, he was. He wanted me to drop it, man. And then Eric Rick, why you ain't doing it now? Nah, baby, was too much going on that night.
I'm on national
It was
television.
money on the line. It was national championship implications on the line. And then on top of that, see, everybody don't understand. That particular night, TLC was at a concert at
Yeah,
Foster
that's right.
Auditorium that night out of the game. So when we won out, I was trying to get back. Everybody was like, man, how we gonna get in the concert at Foster Auditorium? Because baby, we just won the SEC. Just come on with me, baby. I was like JC or somebody. I got to the door, and security and police were like, where y'all want to go, Langham? I said, man, let's take us all backstage. You were like 7 numbers, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Every door was open that night.
And that particular night, I was BMOC on campus that night. Big man on campus, baby.
So you and left out went out and you tell us how it.
I tried. I want to chill it.
You want to chip?
That's good. That's good.
I want to chill it, but hey, close I can get to and see him on the stage. They had to right about the steps, but that was it, man.
Chasing the waterfall.
Yeah,
That was
waterfall,
it. They don't chase, but what was that? If I had fallen in, I probably would have drowned because I couldn't swim. But I was
Did you drop it? Hey, did y'all just see me on TV? I just took it to the house, baby.
I didn't even get close enough to stay there, but I had it already prepared. I was saying, yeah, baby, we just got to play in the SEC championship game, first ever. I had a pick that won the game. I won MVP. What's up, baby?
And hey, to allude to what we said with our last guest, Marvin brought it up. I don't know if you know this, or obviously you won the game, you know that. But
Yeah, he was there.
the run that we had from you guys winning the SEC in 92, winning the Natty, that run for SEC after that, how many years was it, Marvin?
From you all winning it in 92 to the last SEC team winning it, 17 SEC teams have won national championships since you all started.
After winning the SEC and Natty,
17
combined.
national championships
Combined.
have come back to the SEC since you all started.
The SEC office is in Birmingham, and I can't even go by there and get 2 tickets for a major game. My man, I'm upset, man. I'm upset, man.
Here, right here.
I should have betted it then.
Because I mean, wait a minute. You look at the teams before that were winning it. I think it was what Michigan. No, you had what Nebraska. Who else was winning them back in the night? Miami. Who else in the 80s?
Florida State, Miami.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Did Nebraska have 3 in the 90s?
They had 2.
In the 80s.
Oh, 80s.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't the SEC.
Georgia had
The SEC was not dominating. The SEC, Georgia won in what, 80, 81, 80?
Yeah.
But outside of that, you didn't hear much on the SEC until you all won it in 92. And when I say you all kicked the doors in for the SEC to win national championship,
Agreed.
you did.
Agreed a whole lot.
Listen, he's got his meet and greet about 8 minutes, so let's get a few of our questions in so that he can do his thing. So you have probably one of the best secondaries in history. When you look at this secondary we have now, man, how do you compare it to what you had then? Do you see some similarities? And what do you expect from this group? What do you want to see?
We got some solid guys back there. The problem with football now is all this other stuff that's going on.
Yes.
NIL and transfer portal and all that. Nobody is as loyal. There's no loyalty. There's no commitment to nothing. You get guys, man. These guys, they can transfer 4 years, 4 times in 4 years. So who you declare as your school when you're done?
That's a good question.
You know, who do you declare as your school when you're done? Do I say I'm a Bama guy? Do I say I'm this guy? It's too much going on. So my concern is, are they really focused on football anymore? Or are they focused on where they can go and get the next dollar?
Not the same way y'all.
No.
We had NIL back then, but it was called nothing is legal.
It's called, hey, I called your uncle. The bag's going to get there. Don't worry about it.
Nothing is legal.
No.
You tell it, you lie.
Well, you didn't want to tell because you know it hurt someone. They're like well, why don't players ever bust it? Because it's gonna hurt it for the next guy. You keep your mouth shut.
Hey man, I tell everybody, hey, y'all had NIL back then. Yeah, we had this called nothing is legal. If I was in here, Buffalo Wild Wings, I was good. If somebody bought me 6
And I bought 2 cheeseburgers.
it's over.
It's done.
It's over.
Somebody tell it.
Death
Oh,
penalty.
he was in Buffalo Wild Wings. Somebody bought him a cheeseburger. Oh, he's Alabama Hunter. Oh, he's over with now.
Yep.
His career's done. You know, he's
All right, some fan comes up and says, "Hey man, can you write your name on a piece of paper? I give you $20." Oh yeah, $20. You done?
Nothing is legal.
Nothing is legal. Nothing is legal.
But now, man, they get so much money now. I don't even know if they even concerned about playing football so much as getting what they pay them. Because how is it that you can play a season, you'll start it, and right after the season or before the playoff game, you jump in the portal.
Yeah.
If you're gonna open the portal, open it one time and be done with it.
Right.
Because at that point, you know where you want to go. If you want to stay, if you want to go. So you open it twice in one season. Why? For what?
For some divas.
In the transfer, why they took the sit out 1 year? Well, then you made it a free for all. And I get there, it's like, well, a coach can leave. Well, yeah, you can have parameters. If a coach leaves, that opens the door for players to leave without the 1 year ban. But you put the 1 year ban, and kids ain't hopping ship because coach cussed them out or because their girlfriend left.
That's it right now. Just like boy left Jordan, who's a Carson Beck.
Carson Beck.
I'm following my girlfriend. And he in there 2 good weeks. One of them pretty girl from Miami walked by him, and she twisting a little bit. Hey baby, what's up? Now him and his girl, they not together no more. And he down. Now why am I here? Man,
How do you think you would have handled the portal and all that if that would have been like I said, I know that everybody knows the blue chips version of when y'all played. How would you have handled this open door of basically NFL? No,
that's a really good question because I sometimes I sit at home and ask myself, I know you against all of that, but if you had that situation, how would you handle that? But I think it just the way we came up, our folks told us, if you commit that, you're there. You better make it work. You can't come home, but you can't be there. You started there, you better finish there. If you're not a starter, maybe you're not working hard enough. Win the job. But remember, the problem is these kids, they're managed in school, at the high school. Now you come in and you're facing all the other 5-stars. Now you got to win the job. They don't know how to do that. They don't understand dog days. They don't know how to be at the bottom and fight their way to the top. They don't know how to do that. If I'm not at the top when I come in, because I'm pretty sure majority of the questions when they come in, how much money you gonna give me? And am I gonna be a starter? Well, I'm about to tell you how much money I can get you. I'm not gonna tell you here I'm gonna start you.
Yep.
You just coming out of high school. You gotta prove to me you can have this level before I make you a starter. Prove to me you can be a starter. And you can win, you got the opportunity to win the top. They don't, I mean, it's all over the place, man.
That's a beautiful way to point it that. And real quick, we talked about it briefly right then when you talked about redoing that interception in the SEC championship. Right before that, we have an Amber Alert coming out on everybody's phone right now. Be on the lookout. But right before that, Riddle was on as well, and Lassic, and Lassic was speaking about he'd been throwing that all night, and then you were like, "Hey, watch me over the top. I'm about to jump this." How true is that? Did you know he was about to do it, and did you jump it on purpose?
Look,
Or
I ain't meant to cut y'all. I'm sorry.
No, you good, bro. Go ahead.
Don't talk to Lassic about this game. Because Lassic still in his feelings about that game. Lassic, he said he was the MVP of that game. And he said, if I don't make that one play, I don't win MVP. And I have to tell him all the time, I didn't do the vote. I was just making a play, baby. I wasn't looking for MVP award. I was just making a play.
He did a
Let
move.
him know. Just because you need 2 or 3 little heart attacks don't mean that, baby. I really gave the people a heart attack that night. You know what
Yeah. Sounds to me like he was on.
That's good. That's gold. That's gold. That's gold.
I think that you worked hard, but I made the show.
There you go, baby. There you go.
Sounds to me that Lassic's ungrateful. I mean, it sounds to me that Lassic's ungrateful.
He should be grateful, man. You know?
Well, listen, man, we greatly appreciate you hanging out with us. We know you got this meet and greet to do, man. Thank you so much for spending time with us,
Hey,
brother.
before we go, can I just say this?
Yes.
If anybody is coming to Buffalo Wild Wings tonight at Dothan, bring your own Sharpie. For some reason, Jackson don't know he can get 12 Sharpie for like $8. You got 1 Sharpie and it don't write.
Sharpies on DoorDash here?
Huh? Yeah, he could have had him here, but he could have went on Amazon and had him here about today. So now we got to keep on autograph, they don't write. So now we got to go in and wear a sermon for his Sharpie.
He gonna charge you.
He gonna charge you.
He gonna tell you to put some in that box before you get it.
That's gonna be a 5,000% markup.
$50 Sharpie.
Yeah, I'll give
Put
this.
some in that box, baby. So,
I'll give you this Sharpie, but you got to buy my book.
there you go.
Yeah, that's it. We got to get one question out of you before you go, though, man. Bama is the place where legends are made. Look, man, this is the dynasty of all college footballs. And, buddy, we ain't going to make no mistakes about it. You on the damn Daniel Moores. You one of the dudes. But of all the plays, I mean, the Auburn interception, the Florida one, when you thinking back on your days, what play stands out the most to you, man? Or what memory?
You know what? It's crazy. Everybody thinks it's the SEC.
Yeah.
My play was 92 against Auburn.
Yes.
I remember this. I watched that today.
The pick against Auburn in 92. And the crazy part about it is Coach died, and God rest his soul, he was just talking noise to me before that happened. Yeah, just crossed the 50-yard line. You know, Auburn really crossed the 50-yard line all day. They crossed the 50-yard line. And it was like during the timeout or something going on. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, 43. He getting ready to kick y'all butt." But he used another word.
He didn't say much.
He didn't say butt.
No.
I looked at it and then I smiled and I didn't say that. We came back out and they threw that rock and I picked it up and took it into the house. We came back out. After that, we kicked out, we came back out. I looked at him, he looked at me, he said, "I can't stand your ass."
That is awesome.
So, yeah, man. So, that's my play.
Again, I was showing my daughter was telling her about before I came on tonight. Happy birthday. She turned 20 yesterday.
Okay.
But I was showing her the highlights. I was like, man, we've got to look. And she knows Bama's got legends and then they got legends. You're one of the men.
I so appreciate it. Before I go, can I just say one thing before I go?
Yes, sir.
Before the show ends tonight, can we get Marvin to take his shirt off and spin around in a circle?
Oh, of course. We're going to get him a few shots. I don't know if you can get that Baby Gap shirt off, though. It's going to take like 3 dudes to rip it off. I'm like, who's this man here?
Do you want some? You want some Lassic guns? I mean, he shops at Baby Gap.
Can't say it about me.
I mean, either, because if he crosses that table, I'm screwed.
You better get a little high.
Y'all got jokes.
Oh my God.
Only on TV would I talk trash to a dude with arms like that. Because after I'm gonna have to run.
I
That's
don't
the guy
mind
there, man. I
anybody.
just get him. I like to have fun with him a little bit, man. So, yeah.
I got you.
I'm gonna swing them. I don't know if they're gonna go anywhere, but I'm gonna swing them.
Oh, yeah. Are you gonna be on the course tomorrow?
I'll be there.
Come back there hitting them links.
All right.
Marvin's gonna be serving drinks. He's gonna be the cart girl. But
I can't say that about myself. I ain't talking no. Thank you. My boy there.
Man.
Now, if y'all want to see a lot of good dancing tomorrow, watch Roosevelt. That's my dancing band.
We will have that, by the way. So y'all be watching YouTube.
That's my dancing band right there, big Rose. Dance all night long.
Seriously though, where are the shots? Are they not bringing drinks out? I thought you'd have that on lockdown by now.
I don't drink that much, sir.
But yeah.
Vacation was fun.
Oh, vacation.
Yeah, them
was
pictures on
amazing.
vacation.
We're about to actually shut down. You
We're
were the
about to
last
shut down.
guest.
You're the
So
last.
we sent the best flash, the College Football Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man.
Look, he already let his feelings be known before you got here.
Before you came on, though, he did allude to say that the 92 team was defensive led. And he knew that if we scored 10 or 14 points, we could probably win the game. So he did say that on air.
We did.
Man, we greatly appreciate you, brother. It's always a blessing.
Thank you, man.
Always do it, man.
Always ours.
My baby.
Shut up, brother.
We appreciate you,
Hey,
man.
man, thank you.
Roll time.
Roll time.
All time.
I got that t-shirt, one team, one family.
That's it.
He'll work me to death. Won't give me nothing.
Look,
It sounds about
Mike's
right.
already mad that you know, everybody, you got to be the star that, you know, the closer. Now you're the closer. He's going to be mad about that for the next 20 years. It's added to the list.
That's right.
I learned.
He made us late.
Yeah, he wasn't too thrilled about your joke you asked me to pull.
I
He-
went with, hey, what y'all did? The same day he called me. He called me. Hey, man, what the hell going on there? You can't be on time, man. Hey, man, this all came up, man. He was hot.
Man, well, listen, been a great show. Thank you to everybody who watched in the audience. Thank you to my guys.
John on the ones and twos.
Yeah, thank you to John. Listen, the event's not over. Y'all come out to
Yeah,
the meet
come on
and greet if you're here. Check out the golf tournament tomorrow. As far as we go, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
That-